Hello and welcome to another session of the My Solo 401k Financial Daily Webinar Series. We're excited to discuss JP Morgan Chase Solo 401k Review, how it compares to a self-directed Solo 401k. If you have questions or topics you want to discuss, please don't hesitate to chat that over, and we'll go through those sequentially. Well, I see that we've got one question already, so we'll tackle that question first, and then we'll go through the topic. As always, the presentation is being provided for educational purposes only and should not be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice, nor as a solicitation. When making an investment decision, please consult with your tax attorney and financial professional. All right, so the first question we want to go over is taxpayer already has a 401k and is 50% owned S Corp. Can he roll over the amount he contributes to his My Solo 401k after tax account as freelancing income to his Roth 401k in his S Corp plan? The answer is no. He's either got to go in to process an in-plan conversion to the Roth Solo 401k or out of the plan to a Roth IRA. If he later wanted to, he wouldn't be able to transfer from the Roth IRA to any type of 401k. He could transfer from the Roth Solo 401k to another 401k in which he's participating in if he's eligible. He's met a triggering event. So you'd have to be, for example, over age 59 and a half, number one. And number two, the other 401k plan will accept rollover funds into that Roth Solo 401k. So that may not be very likely, but that would be the only scenario where it would be possible. Thank you for bringing the good question. And please subscribe to our channels as we go live every day. And that way you'll get notifications of when you go live. You can come on, you can see what we're talking about. You can ask questions on this topic or even other unrelated topics. So please subscribe, whether on Instagram or YouTube or LinkedIn or X. Also, if you end up finding this to be helpful, please like this video. It helps us to get the word out to other self-employed individuals like you, or share with others that might find it to be helpful. So let's dive into today's topic, which again is JP Morgan's Chase Solo 401k Review, how it compares to a self-directed Solo 401k. So JP Morgan Chase, there's been a number of reports that they launched here in the last day or so, a Solo 401k under their everyday 401k platform. So this would be for self-employed individuals and a spouse if they're working in the business. Record keeping is provided by a third party called Vestwell. And then investment options are managed by JP Morgan. So we wanted to take the time to just review what they've published as far as the features, the pricing, and just, again, see how it compares to a self-directed Solo 401k. So pricing, what's published on their website is they have a startup fee of $350, one-time fee. They've got an ongoing fee of $540, which amounts to $45 per month. They've also got asset-based fees, so a percentage of the balance equal to 0.15%. Now, if a spouse is working in the business, therefore eligible to participate in the plan and wants to participate in that JP Morgan Chase Solo 401k, there's an additional fee of $150 a year for the spouse to participate. Let's also take a look at the features based on what they've published on their website and what we can glean compared to a self-directed Solo 401k, like the one offered by My Solo 401k Financial. So some of the top reasons that clients sign up with us are listed here. So we want to compare and contrast just so that folks can make an educated decision when they're reviewing the JP Morgan Chase Solo 401k. So number one, alternative investments. So here we mean true alternative investments, right? Such as real estate, crypto, private placement, precious metals, private stock. So with the Chase Solo 401k, the individual will be limited to the offerings made available by Chase. So no, it's not going to include alternative investments. Whereas with the self-directed solo 401k provided by my solo 401k financial, the answer is yes. With our plan, one can most certainly invest in alternative investments like real estate, like crypto, etc. Next top use would be in-plan Roth conversions. So that's most certainly allowed with our solo 401k plan. This is where you're converting money from a pre-tax solo 401k in plan to the Roth solo 401k. That's going to be taxable. It's going to be reportable. So that's where folks would pay taxes on the amount or value of the asset converted, but then going forward, they'd have the potential for tax-free growth. Based on the published information on Chase's solo 401k website, there's no indication that they're allowing in-plan Roth conversions. Another top reason that customers will sign up with us, a top feature, is the tax credit. So setting up our solo 401k plan will make the self-employed individual or business eligible to claim $1,500 in solo 401k tax credits, $500 per year for 3 consecutive years. There's no mention of the tax credit on Chase's solo 401k website. You would think that they would bring that up if it was eligible, because that can be a tremendous way to offset the cost. 5,500 easy and 1099-R preparation. So as the plan provider for the solo 401k provided by my solo 401k financial, we certainly handle the 5,500 easy and the 1099-R as an optional free service. Customers just have to let us know in a timely fashion that one is needed, and then we'll prepare it via the electronic filing system, whether the 1099-R or the 5,500 EZ, just to make it easy for the customer. No indication on Chase's solo 401k website that is covered by their fee. Loan option. Another top feature that draws customers to our plan is the ability to borrow. So the individual can borrow up to 50% of the balance, not to exceed $50,000. It can be used for any purpose whatsoever, the proceeds of that solo 401k loan. It just needs to be documented as a loan, which we handle the loan documentation requirement, and paid back according to the payment terms. So those payment terms are going to require that the loan is paid back in equal payments, either monthly or quarterly, up to the solo 401k participant. Equal payments of principal and interest. The interest is prime plus 1%, or a CD rate plus 2% with those payments spread over a 5-year term. Per Chase's solo 401k materials, there's no indication that a loan option is available under their plan. Mega backdoor Roth. So that's a tremendous way, a very powerful way for someone to save money in their solo 401k as a Roth contribution. So for example, for 2025, individuals are going to be able to save up to $70,000 or even more if they're age 50 or older, where funds will end up in a Roth account, where you've got that potential for tax-free growth. There's no indication that the solo 401k that offered by Chase doesn't support the mega backdoor Roth. Employer Roth contributions, likewise, are allowed under the solo 401k offered by my solo 401k financial, but not allowed per the published information on Chase's solo 401k website. Checkbook control. So this is where someone actually has checkbook access to their money. It can be very helpful, for example, for somebody that's looking to invest in alternative investments, because they can act quickly, for example, on investment opportunities. Whereas the solo 401k offered by Chase is not going to give the solo 401k participant checkbook access. Open at the bank or brokerage of choice. So if you're opening up a solo 401k at Chase, the account's going to be at Chase. It can be limited to Chase's investment options. Whereas with our plan, we're totally neutral. We've helped customers open up accounts at hundreds of different banks, many different brokerages. Now let's talk about the fee comparison. So if you look at the first year cost for Chase's solo 401k, there's one scenario where it's one participant and then additional fees if there's 2 participants, like a spouse. So again, that initial cost is $350, and then they've got their annual fee, which amounts to $540, plus an additional $150 if the spouse is participating. So for the first year, it's going to be $890. For the first year, if there's 2 participants, it's $1,040 once you're adding in that $150 fee for the spouse. Going forward for one participant with Chase's solo 401k, it's again $540 a year or $690 a year if there's a spouse that's also participating. So in sum, over the first 7 years, you're going to be paying over $4,000 to Chase in fees. Whereas with the solo 401k offered by my solo 401k financial, first of all, we have a totally flat fee structure. It's not dependent on the value. And that doesn't even count, Chase's fees doesn't even count their AUM fees, right? Their asset-based fees. With my solo 401k financial, we charge $650, which includes the $525 establishment fee plus the first $125 annual fee. That's going to be for 2 participants. For example, if there's a husband and wife that are both working in the business, both reporting their own self-employment income. Then going forward, starting 12 months later, we charge a $125 annual fee that covers the second year. Now, moreover, our plan will make the self-employed individual eligible to claim $1,500 in solo 401k tax credits, which is going to more than cover our fees for the first 7 years. So after the tax credit, over the first 7 years, our fees are $0 when you account for the tax credit. So that can be a tremendous difference, right? And based on studies, it's important to consider fees because not only do you have the fee, but you also have potentially a lower balance in your solo 401k, which means less growth on that money. So it can have a double negative effect in that way. All right, well, that takes us to the end of the features and pricing that we wanted to review based on the announcement of JP Morgan Chase's new solo 401k. Let's go through comments. And again, if you have more questions or topics you wish to discuss, please don't hesitate to chat that over. But let's go through the next one. Thank you so much for bringing the question in the comment. I have an existing Fidelity solo 401k. If I open one with your company, can that balance be transferred to you? Within my solo 401k, I have employee funds and employer funds. I don't see that broken out. If I transfer to you, can the employee amount be moved into a Roth 401k? I'm 57. I've already opened the self-directed IRA with your company and opened the account at Fidelity. There's no balance in the self-directed IRA. Great question. It's a common question. So as long as someone is self-employed with no non-owner, non-spouse, full-time W-2 employees, working for any business owned by that person or a spouse, if any, they're eligible to have a solo 401k. And if they already have a basic solo 401k, for example, provided by Fidelity, they can upgrade that solo 401k plan to our plan to take advantage of the service and features of our plan, like the in-plan Roth conversion, which is not allowed with Fidelity, the mega backdoor Roth, the tax credit, etc. So presumably all the funds that are in the solo 401k now that's at Fidelity are all pre-tax funds. So it's fine that that the source of those funds are both pre-tax employee contributions as well as pre-tax employer contributions. Now the process is referred to as a restatement where the existing plan will continue, but now it'll be governed by our plan documents. So you can think of it like a cut and paste. Now, new accounts will need to be established, which can be at Fidelity, for the restated plan. And then the cash and assets transferred over from the pre-existing account over to the new account for pre-tax solo 401k funds. Once the money's in the new account for the restated plan, it would be totally fine for the individual to process an in-plan Roth conversion where they move funds from that pre-tax solo 401k sub-account in plan to the Roth solo 401k sub-account. They can move as much or as little as they want. There's no triggering event that needs to be met. Now, it's going to be taxable, of course, because it's going from a pre-tax status to a Roth status. It's also reportable. And we have an online form that customers use to provide us the information we need to prepare the tax report. It needs to be reported on a 1099-R. So as long as we're provided that information in a timely fashion, we'll handle it as an optional free service. And then the individual would just need to add the amount that was converted from a pre-tax status to a Roth status inside their solo 401k. They need to add that as income for the year of the transfer. Hopefully that makes sense. So again, if you're finding this to be helpful, please like. That helps us get the word out. Please subscribe so you get notifications of when we go live. We'll give it a moment to see if there's any more questions. But thank you so much for the good participation. We want to invite you to our community, mysolo401k.net/my community. It's totally free to join. Just email us at business@mysolo401k.net and we'll get you access. There's a library of videos and webinars. We also have the industry's first AI, which you're totally welcome to use at solo401k.ai. It's a great way to answer questions quickly, find resources quickly. So if you have a self-directed IRA through us, then that's really for folks that want to invest via, for example, an IRA LLC. And so it would really be opening up a solo 401k plan with us, which would be a different process. If you go to mysolo401k.net and then click on open account, it'll take you right over to that. You can access from there the solo 401k account opening page so we can guide you through the process. So mysolo401k.net, open account, then solo 401k. So this plan does allow both in-plan conversions of pre-tax contributions to Roth sub-account or in-service transfers out to the Roth IRA. Yes, it does. Now, there's going to be no triggering event that needs to be met if you move money from the pre-tax account to the Roth account, as we were discussing. But if you want to move the money out of the plan, you've got to consider those distribution rules. So for example, if you have pre-tax money in the solo 401k and you want to move it to a Roth IRA, you generally cannot transfer those funds out until you've met a triggering event, such as being age 59 and a half or older. And I can see, for example, the individual that was asking about the self-directed IRA and opening the accounts at Fidelity. But I can see you've already got a solo 401k with us. So after the webinar is over, I'll forward over the latest email where it talks about opening accounts at Fidelity. All right, it looks like it takes us to the end of the questions for today. Thanks so much for the great participation, everyone. Take care.